Hello, everybody. So, to celebrate the release of the new Batman movie, I thought it was only right that I would talk about another Batman movie, Batman and Robin. Yes, the most beloved of Batman movies to date. This is the movie that followed Batman Forever. I've talked about this movie on my website. You can find it somewhere. Just click around. And yeah, so I remember seeing this movie, Batman and Robin, in theaters, and I think the only thing I said after, like I think my dad asked me, "So what do you think?" And I was like, I think the only thing I said was, "Well, it was entertaining." I think that's the only thing I said. And looking back, uh, that is not a glowing review. Okay, like thinking back, like this is the kind of movie I should have loved because I really, really like Batman Forever. Batman Forever is very much in the same universe as this movie, and yet I had some very, very strong feelings, like positive feelings towards Batman Forever. I've got a lot of nostalgia for that movie. I used to draw all the characters and stuff. I was like really obsessed with that movie. Batman and Robin, it's almost like it faded away from my memory like instantly. And that's really weird. That just tells you something. For a Batman movie, I was huge, for anything Batman. And yet, when I saw that movie, the best thing I could say about it is like, well, it was entertaining, which is just like, well, no shit, it better be at least entertaining. So yeah, even then, I knew there was something off about that movie. And over the years, this movie kind of became a joke, right? Like everybody just kind of trashes it. It's like it's a one of the classic so bad it's good movies, or so bad it's bad for some people. And it basically kind of killed the whole Batman franchise for a very, very long time, until Batman Begins, thanks to Christopher Nolan, who kind of restarted the whole thing. So I was kind of pissed at this movie for a long time because it killed that franchise. I was just like, man, they should have just given it back to Tim Burton at this point. Like, why not? Instead of just having no Batman movies for like years and years and years, I was mad at that movie. Okay, but over time, I've had kind of I've had a more positive view on it. I've grown to like this movie, and we'll get to that. But just to give you a bit of background, like Batman Forever obviously didn't have the same impact as the first Batman movie by Tim Burton, but it was huge though. Like it was huge on a kind of $100 million budget. It made like 3 times that kind of thing. So it was a hit. Like it was a significant hit. Batman and Robin had an even bigger budget. Okay, we went up to like 160 million. But the gross was not as much as Batman Forever, so that's why they stopped. It was still like a significant amount. Like a lot of people went to see Batman and Robin. Just purely based on Batman Forever, and yeah, that just kind of killed everything. But just to give you an idea of what the studios did there. Okay, so you had the first Batman movie that was huge, critically acclaimed. Massive box office, biggest box office. No one can even imagine how big that movie was. Okay, then you had Batman Returns, which on a kind of $80 million budget made like a solid amount, made like I don't know, like 266 million, something like that. Like, it's not the biggest gross ever that they could have done, but money wise for the time, still pretty darn good. All right. But then you've got Batman Forever, which, $100 million budget, does more money than Batman Returns. Definitely a hit. That was a good move. And then you end up here. Then you end up with a movie that cost way more. Okay? That cost like twice the amount of Batman Returns, making, as much, like about the same amount of money. And that is bad. That is bad. If you put it in contrast with Batman Returns, with Batman and Robin, you realize just how big of a failure Batman and Robin was for the studios. And why was that? Well, Batman Forever is often kind of lumped in with Batman and Robin, but those two movies are very, very different. Okay, not just because there's some big cast changes. Val Kilmer had different engagements. I think, like he had to be, he wanted to do some of the great classics of our time. He wanted to do The Island of Dr. Moreau, and he wanted to do The Saint, both of which did not do very well. Kind of flopped really hard. So that was a bad business decision there. So Val Kilmer was out. I'm not sure if he got fired or if he left. I think it was a bit of both. I think like Kilmer said, like he didn't really know if he was really like signing, like if he had to sign on for the next one or something. I don't know. There was a bit of confusion there. Joel Schumacher kind of said it was a bit of both. And so they got, someone who could kind of lighten things up a little bit, because Val Kilmer played it like, even though he had some funny moments in Batman Forever, he played it straight, right? He played it straight. He was a pretty serious Bruce Wayne / Batman. George Clooney was kind of an attempt, casting George Clooney was an attempt to lighten things up a little bit. Let's have a lighter Batman. And for me, this is the main reason why this movie kind of failed and was reviled for many years, is because it was not clear about exactly what it was trying to do. This movie, Batman and Robin, if you watch it from the standpoint of like, this is Adam West 60s Batman, it just looks a bit more modern, okay? If you watch it from that point of view, you're like, yeah, I mean, this makes sense. This is pretty fun, But this is also like the fourth movie of an existing franchise. So, and then from that standpoint, you have to include everything. You have to include the much darker 1989 Batman. You have to include the much, much darker Batman Returns, which, sure, those movies kind of had some slight elements from the 60s show and the old serials, but, it was also kind of all revamped to be a distraction from that, to be an evolution from that. And then you kind of took a step back with Batman Forever, but you still had some, like, you had some of that Tim Burton sensibility in there. Not a lot, but just enough, where it kind of fell between, the Tim Burton movies and the Batman animated series, kind of in that sweet spot in the middle, okay? Didn't work for some people, but I think it worked for a lot of people. Batman and Robin is just a complete devolution of that franchise. It's emblematic of just like, let's undo everything we've done up to that point and go back to 60s Batman just flat out. But that's not how they... if this movie had been just part of its own franchise, I feel like they should have just had two Batman franchises, but they didn't really do that at that point. This is the kind of thing that studios do now, But back in those days, like, you didn't really have, like, multiple kind of, like... universes going on, You didn't have the Tim Burton universe of Batman movies at the same time as, the Joel Schumacher movies. You didn't have that. You just had a Batman franchise. You just had the Batman movies. So as part of that, it was just kind of heartbreaking to like go backwards so far. And if they had marketed it as, this is Adam West Batman, it's not part of the main franchise, this is just flat out Adam West Batman, but like the 1997 version, people would have been fine with it. People would have been like, this is awesome, until the next kind of dark, kind of kick-ass action movie Batman shows up, like the next movie. We can watch this movie and have a little fun. And I think people would have been fine with it. This is what they should have done. It was just a really bad strategy to just continue a franchise that was actually quite dark and gothic and just have it go backwards and just change direction completely. Why would you do that? Obviously, people got turned off by that. And this movie was not marketed as something, that goofy. It was marketed as another Batman Forever, which this really wasn't, This was going even further than Batman Forever. And that, for me, is the big problem with this movie. But there's other issues to talk about. There's a lot to talk about this movie. Let's start with the story, though. We'll start with the story. Basically, the story of this movie is Batman and Robin, still Chris O'Donnell as Robin, they are taking on this new villain that's in town called Mr. Freeze, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because of course they cast Arnold Schwarzenegger, which again, it's kind of a nice homage to this kind of like Austrian sounding Mr. Freeze from the old show. That's cool. And Arnold Schwarzenegger makes sense. It was a huge action star at the time. Yeah, of course they cast Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not a bad casting choice, really, when you think about it. It makes sense. Could have been fun, and it was fun, but yeah, we'll get to that. So they're tracking down Mr. Freeze, who is going around like museums and stuff, stealing diamonds. He's stealing diamonds for whatever reason. And the reason is, we find out later, he's got this machine that for some reason runs on diamonds. All right, it's not the best freaking machine that he put together. But anyway, and the whole idea is that he's trying to bring back his wife to life somehow, because there was this accident, and his wife is kind of in a coma, in a perpetual coma, just kind of like hanging in this glass tube, water tube thing. She's frozen. Basically, she's frozen in time, kind of thing. So he's trying to gather as much diamonds as he can to be able to save her life, whatever. So he's got kind of like this tragic backstory and these nice, good intentions. But the way he's going about it is like freezing people like cops left and right. Who knows if they survived this, by the way. They don't really address whether some of these cops that are frozen are they dead? Are they murdered? Because later on, people get unfrozen pretty easily. But I feel like at the beginning of the movie, they don't have that technology to do that. So I feel like those people are dead. No, actually, I think there is included a line in there where Batman goes, it's like, no, he's, we'll take care of him. We'll bring them back. It'll be fine. And no one dies in this movie, really. So then, at the same time, meanwhile, you have this girl, okay, this scientist lady played by Uma Thurman, who is working, I guess, for like an offshoot of for a weird Wayne Enterprises funded environmental operation in I don't know where it was meant to be. Was it meant to be in South America or something? Anyway, with the guy from Gremlins 2, who is out of his mind. He plays a mad scientist. He's awesome. So eventually something goes really wrong. She finds out that doctor, that mad scientist, is up to no good. He's doing the whole venom thing. He's made the venom that creates Bane. Okay. Where he takes someone, it's like the super soldier serum, okay? Where he takes someone who's really skinny, they take some prisoners, and then they make them all pumped up, and they become huge. They become Bane. So she sees this happen. She tries to blow the whistle on this, and she is murdered, okay, by the mad scientist. Unfortunately for him, she comes back. All these vials of poisons and stuff, toxins, go into her blood and collapse, and then she becomes Poison Ivy. And her plan is basically to go back to Gotham and pretty much turn Gotham into this big plant world, get rid of all the human beings, pretty much. And there's some weird discussions online sometimes about how, she's pro-environment, and Bruce Wayne is this shrewd billionaire. How is she the bad guy again? It's just because she wants to genocide everyone. That's why. Anyway, just a dumb Twitter discussion that pops up once in a while. And at the same time, as if there's not enough happening in this movie, because already there's a lot. This is a lot already, okay? You've got the diamonds, freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger flying around. He's got rockets, I think. I'm not sure how. Diamonds, I guess. And Poison Ivy wants to kill everybody, create plants. You've got Bane in there. So there's already a lot going on in this movie. But that's not enough. That's halfway through of what you have in this movie. You also have Alicia Silverstone, okay, who plays Alfred's niece? Barbara? Barbara Gordon? Oh, sorry, Barbara Pennyworth? I don't know what they were thinking with that. Did they forget that they have Commissioner Gordon in this movie? Never mind. It's easy to forget because Pat Hingle's barely in this film. So she's obviously kind of being built up to become Batgirl because, again, you don't have enough. You got Batman and Robin. You got two villains with all this stuff that they're worried about. No, you gotta have Batgirl in there. Okay, fine. But that's not enough because at the same time, Alfred himself is dying. Okay, Alfred is still played by Michael Goth, which is awesome, and he's great in this movie. Actually, the one cool thing about this movie is Michael Goth has a lot more screen time, and actually, he's got his own kind of like subplot, and he's good in it. Like he does a good job. So it's a nice send off for Michael Goth as Alfred. I think this movie. So that's one nice thing about it. Anyway, so then. Yeah, obviously Batman and Robin have to deal with Poison Ivy, who has her kind of like charming poisons, where she can get you to do whatever she wants. And of course, they have to take on Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze, who is trying to freeze Gotham. So I guess they put their plans together, where the whole idea is for Mr. Freeze to freeze all of Gotham, killing pretty much everybody, right? And then she plants all these crazy plants everywhere and helps him with his wife, I guess. I don't know. That was the plan anyway. That's what they're going with. And that's the general plot of the movie. There's a lot to talk about here. Okay, George Clooney as Batman is awesome if you're going for the Adam West thing. That is perfect casting. I can't think of more perfect casting. If you were going to have like a meme Batman, if you're gonna have like a Batman who's a joke, who is funny and who is charming and completely out of place in a kind of superhero movie, legitimate superhero movie, George Clooney is 100% the best casting because he's funny looking in the suit, he is cheesy as hell, and he's got this kind of dad vibe to him, you know, like Adam West just kind of feels like a dad. It's like your dad cracking dad jokes the whole time. That's what the old 60s show is. And so George Clooney, perfect casting. However, in a multi-million dollar movie who's meant to be a continuation of a, you know, initially pretty dark and gothic foundation here, wow, that is bad casting. Holy moly. He is horrible as Batman. As a legitimate Batman, he is horrendous. It doesn't get any worse. It doesn't get any worse than George Clooney. Simple as that. You know, whatever you might think of any of the other Batman, Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, you know, whoever else. Yeah, man, he's rough. He's rough. Like literally, the first time he sees Mr. Freeze, is like, "Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman." And then he slides down the dinosaur, and just like next thing you know, he's like snowboarding in the sky. The first action sequence is like 15 minutes long, or so it feels. At least it feels 15 minutes long. They have some big action scenes in this movie, and they are so friggin' long. They're so long. The good thing about Batman Forever is that it had all these action scenes in it, but they were short and sweet and snappy, and just really well crafted. Whereas here, whenever there's an action scene, you're like, all right, here we go for the next 15 minutes. And it's not good. Like, it's not well done at all. Like, when, like, the whole... everything looks fake in this movie. Like, the cinematography in Batman Forever... Okay, same cinematographer in this movie. The cinematography in Batman Forever earned that movie an Oscar nomination, an Academy Award nomination, okay? And I would say rightly so. In this movie, everything looks like it's made of plastic. Like, it's not even really the cinematography that's the problem. It's the production design. I don't know what happened with the production design in this movie. It's horrible. Everything looks like it's made of cardboard. And, okay, it makes sense for 60s Batman. But this movie cost $160 million. Where is it? Where's the money? Where is it? Well, I'll tell you where it is. Arnold Schwarzenegger asked for a huge paycheck for this movie. So that's, you've got the budget of Batman Forever, okay? And then you've got the budget of Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's where all the money went. I would not have paid that much for Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if anyone went to that movie just because of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Maybe, because George Clooney was still kind of, you know, relatively new as a movie star at that point, so... They probably didn't go for George Clooney, so they were like, we need someone strong as one of the villains. Because the other people they were going to go for Batman were like William Baldwin, who cares? You know, like they had some like weird, they had some weird ideas. Who else? There was Ethan Hawke, but that was like he was considered early on, I think, for Batman Forever. Who else was like considered? That was like a really weird choice. David Duchovny, I think, was like considered for Batman and Robin, which I don't know about that one. But he would make a great Batman villain, though. I don't know who exactly, but he'd make a good Batman villain. Yeah, David Duchovny as a Batman villain. Who would he play? Now I gotta know. Now I gotta think about this. Huh. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. That would be interesting. David Duchovny as a Batman villain. Huh. I don't know. Anyway, getting sidetracked. So George Clooney's rough in this movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger is having the time of his freaking life in this movie, and he makes everything really fun, okay? Unfortunately, the script by Akiva Goldsman, who did work on the last movie, but he wasn't the only screenwriter, which leads me to believe that perhaps, just perhaps, the other screenwriters in the last movie were the good ones. Because Akiva Goldsman, man, that is one horrendous script, okay? Every line of dialogue from pretty much every character, okay? But not every character, but like definitely Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman, every line of dialogue is a pun. It's just a pun all the time. And it's like, okay, when Arnold Schwarzenegger does it, you know, 2-3 times, you're like, haha, that's funny, that's hilarious. But when Uma Thurman's every single line is a pun, it's like, bro, stop. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger keeps doing it the whole movie as well. It's like, chill. A freeze is coming. You have left me cold to your cries of... I don't know what the hell he's talking about in this movie. It's just like, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! It's just like pure nonsense. And don't get me wrong. It's funny. Oh, it's funny. It's hilarious, okay? And this brings me to the core of this review. I can't lie, okay? I love this movie. I have seen this movie many, many times. Sometimes I would watch it because it's just to make fun of it. Sometimes I would watch it because it's Batman and Robin and I feel like watching it, you know? I love this movie, okay? Myself. I like bad movies. I like cheesy movies. I like 60s Batman. I love this movie. All right, but I gotta stay as objective as I can. I gotta talk about the bad stuff in this movie. That's what I gotta do. All right, but just so you know, we'll get back to this. But just so you know, I love this freaking movie. But yeah, I mean, the script is horrible. The production design is just like, why is everything made of plastic? Why does it look so cheap? Why the hell does this movie, which is hugely expensive, the most expensive Batman movie to date? Why does it look so cheap? Why does the first Batman movie by Tim Burton looks just like so much better? And Batman Returns as well. Although Batman Returns kind of feels like it's pretty much like on the stage the whole time, but even that looks better. But yeah, man, Batman and Robin looks rough as a movie, and there's way too much going on in this movie. Each action scene, like I said, is like 1,000,000 years long. And it's just complete nonsense from start to finish. Like, I don't know how else to put it. You've got some other cast members that really do a bad job here. Chris O'Donnell. Chris O'Donnell was really good, I felt. In my opinion, I thought Chris O'Donnell was a really good Robin in Batman Forever. He is completely destroyed in this movie. Like, the screenwriters and the director, Joel Schumacher, whom I love and respect, they really made a bad deal for Chris O'Donnell, honestly. Because I feel like Chris O'Donnell, when he signed up to Batman Forever, he was into it. You know, you could tell that he was like taking this material seriously, right? And then they kind of switched it up on him. It's like, actually, you're in the cartoon now. But he's playing the same character in the same universe. So it must have been very confusing as an actor to suddenly take on these horrible lines and just be a complete, like, parody of yourself. So I really do feel kind of bad for Chris O'Donnell, and I think the studios, the director, and the writers really let Chris O'Donnell down because he was a young actor, and he could have gone on to like bigger and bigger things because he did such a good job in Batman Forever, and it completely screwed up his career in this movie. Like Batman after, do you remember a Chris O'Donnell movie after like Batman and Robin? Maybe one, because damn, that movie killed that guy's career, and I just think that's not fair because he is a solid actor and he could have gone on to better things, but man, they really messed up him as an actor and that character. So that's a huge shame, I think. You also have Alicia Silverstone, who is kind of a weird casting choice, let's be honest. She's kind of charming in her own way in this movie, but she's not really she's not really what you want as Batgirl, okay? She's kind of dopey, and she does not come across as heroic at all. She feels kind of dumb. She's no. I'm sorry. That's not Batgirl. Batgirl is smart, okay? No. Alicia Silverstone is just, I think she's great. I think Clueless was awesome. No, miscast, unfortunately. So she's not great. Then you have Elle Macpherson, who plays, I guess, Bruce Wayne's girlfriend, and she is terrible. She's got like 2 lines, and she is awful. Just really bad line delivery. Oh my god, there's some. I thought she was bad in the few Friends episodes that she was in. No, she's really, really bad in this. The few lines that she has, holy moly. And then you have the one who I think, I used to like that performance when I was a kid because I thought, Uma Thurman, she's kind of hot, she's funny. She's over the top. She's the kind of Riddler of this movie in a way. But looking back, man, that is a painful performance by Uma Thurman. Oh my god! Like even compared to Arnold Schwarzenegger, because Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're not really expecting Laurence Olivier, okay? You're not really expecting, the tippy top of acting, You're not expecting like Denzel Washington in Macbeth. You're expecting Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? You're expecting this kind of borderline it doesn't work kind of performance. You're expecting Keanu Reeves levels. Actually, I feel like Keanu Reeves would have been the perfect Batman for this movie. Suddenly that movie works. Suddenly that movie makes sense, Or as Robin. Okay, fine. He was pretty young at the time. Keanu Reeves as Robin in this movie would have actually made sense. Then you would have had a whole plethora of beautiful performances to enjoy. Uma Thurman is like, yes, she's Riddlering, she's Jim Carreying the shit out of this movie, but she's not very good. Like, she's not particularly funny. Her lines are horrible, and that's not her fault. She is just kind of chewing the scenery in a way that's just not appealing at all. It's a really bad performance. Arnold Schwarzenegger gives the standard Arnold Schwarzenegger performance. It's just like sing. He's just doing Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, so that's fine. There's no kind of leap where you're like, wow, this is a really good actor, but he's really let himself down this time. Same thing to a certain extent with George Clooney. George Clooney has this kind of like baseline George Clooney performance where it's not bad, but it's not blowing you away either. And he's kind of doing that in this movie. He's got some terrible lines in the film, but he's pulling it off. He's giving a standard George Clooney performance. Uma Thurman from freaking Pulp Fiction. She's an awesome actress. And then you see her in this movie, and you can see that she's trying to make the most of it. You can see that she's kind of having fun with it. But man, I kind of felt bad. It's like, it's borderline, it's embarrassing. It's a pretty embarrassing performance. And it's an embarrassing movie for a lot of the cast members, Even George Clooney, like, never leave the cave without it with the Bat credit card. That's rough. Chris O'Donnell, like, screaming when Batman, like, takes the car and just kind of goes away without him, and he's like, ah! There's just so many funny moments in this movie. They're just flat out embarrassing for all these actors, and even like whoever plays Bane, it's embarrassing for the character of Bane, where he just has one line, where like every time, like he barely speaks. He's just kind of the muscle of Poison Ivy. He's relegated to just not even a real villain. He's just like planting bombs. It's like bomb. bomb. And man, there's a lot to talk about here. The costume design. I don't know what the hell happened, okay, with the costume design in this movie. Because the costume design, make of Batman Forever what you will. The costume design in Batman Forever is freaking amazing, okay? I don't care if you don't like the final Riddler costume, okay? The silver one with the sparklies and the weird question mark eye thing. It's awesome. It's awesome character design, okay, in that movie. The Two-Face thing, even the bat suits are awesome. In this movie, by the end, Batman, Robin, and Batgirl, they look freaking ridiculous, okay? They've got this, like, gray, like, light gray and white bat suit so they can blend into, I guess, the ice. Okay, I could see that. But, man, with the nipples, everyone has, like, full-on shots of their butts and their boobs and their freaking front bits, packages, and all the nipples again. Wow, the bat suits are really bad in this movie. The freaking Mr. Freeze suit is too much. There's way too much going on. I don't think we needed the little LED light, like making his teeth look blue. It's a cool costume, I guess, but there's way too much going on. You didn't need that much, okay? Just they should have stuck with the costume from the animated series, okay? And then just made that a little bit more elaborate. But man, this costume is just like way too bulky. It looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger himself is very uncomfortable wearing it half the time. And it's just too busy. There's just too much going on. The Poison Ivy costume I used to think was cool as a kid, but looking at it now, this costume is shit. This costume is shit. This is a bad costume. It's like this like weird kind of like a green leggings and top, and then she's got these gloves with like nail polish painted on the gloves, and it just looks like she's wearing like kitchenware or something, like, you know, like those kitchen like dishwashing gloves. It looks like she's wearing dishwashing gloves that they've just like painted red at the end, and it's just like, wow. And the hair is good. The hair is really good. She's got some good hair in this movie. It's a little bit hocus pocus, but it works, okay? Especially at the end. She's got this, like, weird, crazy haircut. Yeah, the costume design is way too over the top here. And honestly, this movie is not very well made altogether. This is, for me, the big kind of break with Batman Forever. When you're watching Batman Forever, you kind of feel like Joel Schumacher is in control of the storytelling. You kind of feel like Joel Schumacher knows what he's doing here. That he's kind of just making all this kind of, a coherent action movie, comedy kind of thing. Whereas here, it feels like Joel Schumacher is just kind of limiting his own capabilities just to fit the Adam West 60s show vibe. And he really shouldn't have done that, because it makes it feel like he doesn't know how to direct a movie. You know, because he is doing it on purpose. He is purposely restricting himself as a director by trying to make everything look plasticky and making everything look a little bit goofy. And it just comes off as just like this movie looks cheap, you know? And this director does not know how to put a scene together. There's some weird, line deliveries in that movie. There's like dead air at one point. There's just like, even Elliot Goldenthal, the composer who did an awesome job with Batman Forever, sometimes in this movie, Elliot Goldenthal does not know what to do. And you feel it. Like, the score is just a little bit off, It's like when you go from Spider-Man 2 to Spider-Man 3, okay? And Danny Elfman's not really involved in Spider-Man 3, and you can tell, except here it's the same composer. So it's really, there's a lot of things that are off in this movie. The plot it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, let's be real. They somehow managed to merge the Alfred subplot with the main plot with Mr. Freeze, who can somehow his wife, Mr. Freeze's wife, has the same disease that Alfred just contracted, but he's in an earlier stage, so maybe he can help Alfred. I see what they were trying to do with the whole Alfred thing. I feel like this whole subplot, though, just get rid of it. For the love of God. Someone should have gone through the script and been like, okay, the Alfred dying plot, first of all, it's too much. There's already plenty in this movie to deal with. You don't need the Alfred subplot. Just get rid of that. But second of all, it doesn't fit at all in the 60s Batman vibe. So if you're going to do the 60s Batman thing, do it. Just don't do other stuff that doesn't make sense with that, because the Alfred dying thing is way too serious for the 60s Batman thing. It's something that works in the animated series, but there's an incoherence in terms of the approach here in this movie, and I feel like that was really frustrating for audiences, including me. Like I didn't even know what to make of it after seeing this movie. I'm like, okay, so this is definitely not Tim Burton anymore. Like this is certainly not Tim Burton's world anymore. But it doesn't even really feel like Joel Schumacher's world anymore. Like it just feels like some new director trying to do 60s Batman and just not doing a very good job of it. So it's there's something really heartbreaking about this movie. And like I said, as a kid, this movie is entertaining. I'm a little bit harsher on it now because I feel like this movie has a lot of pacing issues. Like I said, action sequences should have been shortened. The subplots, get rid of them. You don't need, if you're gonna introduce Batgirl, which also kind of, let's be real, feels unnecessary in this movie. But if you're gonna do it, just use Commissioner Gordon. It's just so much easier. Why would you have this whole Alfred subplot in there? It's just too much. You don't need that to introduce Batgirl. You just don't need it. So I feel like the script needed a lot of cha 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 machete cha 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 on a lot of pages. Okay, a lot of the puns, get rid of them. Cha cha cha. Look, not every line for a character should be a pun. Okay, it should be character driven. Okay, if the character is like cracking jokes because he's sad inside or something, it's like, fine, okay, that can be the character's thing. But that's not what they did here. Okay, what they did here, there's no character development, there's no depth to any character whatsoever. That's gone. Whatever depth Batman Forever had, and I think, to be fair to that movie, it had a fair amount. That's gone. That's out, okay? Even Batman is not even, like, sad anymore. He's over it. He's doing, like, public appearances. He's got a bad credit card. He's over it. Like, he's just sad that Alfred is sick, but he doesn't give a shit about his parents anyway. He's like, yay, Batman. He's almost, like, going to birthday parties and shit. But, you gotta have some kind of, like, coherence here. This just doesn't work. There's way too much there. The pacing is way off. It's like really intense action sequence for a long time, but it's not actually intense. It's just kind of boring after a while because it's like so cartoony and heavy-handed and all that stuff. And then it stops and it's like dead air because you got these horrible performances. These really flat performances by Alicia Silverstone and George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell, which are not holding this movie together, contrasted with the horrible but entertaining performances by Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman. It makes for a very erratic, very kind of annoying movie, but I like it. I love it, in fact. I think it's hilarious. I could watch this movie anytime. Anytime I could put this movie on, I have a good time watching it. Just, there's always something about it. There's always something new I discover about it that doesn't work. That's just kind of really bad. It's like when you watch the old 60s show and you notice every little like label in the Batcave. Every single thing in the Batcave is labeled. I'm surprised Batman doesn't have a little label here that says Batman. It's all these like little jokes in there. And this movie should have not been part of this franchise. It should have just been its own thing. It should have been 60s Batman, just done again as a kind of like big meme movie that Warner Brothers releases. They should not have spent this much money on it if they were going to do that. They should have spent at least half of the budget that they spent on here because it looks cheap anyway. So you might as well save a bit of money. So what can I say about this movie? I love it. I have a lot of there's a lot of charm to this movie. I find it very funny. Just the puns just send me every time. I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is hilarious. I just love how clunky and just how much this movie doesn't work, but how fun it is. Like, it is a fun movie, despite the pacing issues, etc. It is a fun movie. It's very colorful. Like, I actually really love, like, genuinely love the poster for the movie with all the colors, all the neon and stuff. It's still a nice movie to look at. It's just much clunkier. I do still feel bad for Chris O'Donnell. for his career after this movie and for the Batman franchise. You know, it took so long for this franchise. That's why when I went to see Batman Begins in theaters and it was actually quite good, I clapped. It was the first movie I think I went to see where I actually clapped at the end. Like someone clapped and I was like, you know what? Yes. Because, man, that was a bad way to end this franchise. Do I recommend this movie? Yeah, I do. I do. But if you want to see a good Batman movie, don't even go there. If you want to see, you know, if you don't know anything about 60s Batman, don't even bother, dude. Like if bad movies are not amusing to you, if you want to see a good Batman movie, and if you have no idea about the 60s Batman show, don't even bother with this movie because you kind of need all these, all these to really appreciate this movie. Yeah, this movie is fun. Especially if you have kind of a sense of humor about watching movies, if you like, you know, enjoy sitting through kind of bad movies, as long as they're entertaining and there's stuff to make fun of. Invite a few friends over, have a few beers, and just have a grand old time, just reminiscing about how crazy this movie is. This is a wild movie. Okay, there's movies out there. Yeah, there's a lot I could dig into, but this review's long enough, so what can I say? I love this movie. It's not a good movie. There was some potential there for a really cool kind of 60s Batman revival. Unfortunately, the studio system did not really allow for that kind of separate universe to happen. So it kind of killed the main franchise. But what are you going to do? That's all in the past now. Now we can kind of sit back and enjoy this movie for what it is. A complete train wreck that is ridiculously enjoyable and fun. So I do recommend it for if you're in the mood for something like that. Okay, so be warned. Okay, thank you for watching this review. I guess yeah, the next review is gonna have to be Batman Begins, coming soon. It was nice to see you again.